right, Xenoform, Session 1, Power Armored Troopers, saving the world from alien menaces, one alien at a time. And if we could start in the depths of space, we could see that black outer void, the ocean of stars, and through that comes hurtling a rock. And another, a swarm of meteors heading for that blue marble on which we all live and call home. These asteroids have been tracked from the edge of the solar system for weeks. The world is prepared. They are on high alert. And as they come hurtling forward, countermeasures come into play. Missiles are launched first from satellites and then later from the surface itself. Many of these asteroids are destroyed in this bombardment, but one manages to come through. It goes hurtling into our atmosphere, streaking into red flames, and the alert goes out that a meteor is down. And we'll go to our daring heroes. You can describe what you're doing when the call comes in, when you're activated for duty. You are, of course, the Peacekeepers and Multinational Task Force, now responding as disaster relief. Do you want to get started, Shadas?
Yeah, sure. So, Corporal Scott McCoy, also known as Lucifer, is actually relaxing on a small kayak down the river in Canada. He's just cruising along the water, taking a little bit of sun, thinking that sometimes in a few months the winter is gonna come, so there will be ice rather than water. Try to relax. Try not to get too much of his cybernetic arm wet after the arm he lost after his last mission, where he was promoted to corporal. The insurrection that happened in Australia. But he's just relaxing, taking a little cruise down the river by himself. Just let it be at peace.
All right. And the call then comes in. You know, maybe it's by text message alert. Maybe you have a cell phone chip implanted in your head.
Yeah, right next to my cybernetic eye. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's, of course, priority alert. Need to return to base immediately. You've been activated for duty. It's basically like code red. So what is...
he rushes to the river bank, and he tries to get on the first vehicle he finds to be able to get back to civilization. He's not too far from the city, but still has a little way to go.
All right, and what does Scott Lucifer McCoy drive? Is he on a motorcycle or a Jeep? Or
he's going with a Jeep, like a big one.
All right, so he's got a big Jeep. He goes tearing through the winding woods towards the base so that he can get suited up. And what about his comrade, Private Alan Kane? What do you think, Jay?
Seems how he's not on duty. He would have been out in a hunting blind, waiting for something to go cross. Call comes in. He packs up and heads right out to his truck and starts heading towards base.
All right, perfect. So we've got two very manly men here. We've got kayaking, we've got hunting, and you both come into the base, and you're waved through. You're recognized at the gate, and very quickly you're directed to the armory so that you can get suited up. And as you're coming into the armory, you can see some of your squad mates already getting prepped, getting suited up. They're getting stripped down. so that they can get their body suit on to interface with this power armor. You can see the row of power armor suits. It's like this huge airplane hangar. There's equipment and technicians and doctors, a flurry of activity. And perhaps that's the first time that we see your power armor. What does your suit of power armor look like? How has it been customized?
Go ahead, Jake.
Oh, all right. Mine is very simple. It's got augments in the leg to help with speed, but mostly it's just designed to blend in with the environment. Makes it a little bit more difficult for anyone to see where I am.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking that your suit is probably a lot smaller and lighter than most of them. And
Oh, definitely.
maybe something like this, where it's just very large and bulky by normal armor standards, but by power armor standards, very small and lithe. What do you think the surface of the suit might look like? Is it like mirrored because of that holographic system? Or is it just jet black? It absorbs light. What do you think?
I'd say that its color changes. It doesn't. It's not mirrored. It's just that I can set the color setting to the environment where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, what do you think it looks like when it's turned off?
Just turned off. Normal dark steel.
All right. And yeah, you're heading through. You're getting out of your hunting gear. Making a pile. You got your orange vest, maybe some camo, maybe even your rifle. You still had it on your shoulder, and you'd see some of the other soldiers in your unit, in your platoon, Hellfire platoon, nodding and smiling and looking over at you, giving you a thumbs up. They all feel safer knowing that Mark, which is your code name, Mark is keeping an eye on the terrain and an eye on them. They don't know where you are, but they know that you're doing good for them. That's a very important job. You could see the other scout of note in the platoon is Braden Dudley. He's codenamed Mary because he's supposedly a very merry fellow. He has a very joking disposition, and he smiles at you as he sees you. He gives you the high sign. His suit very similar to your own, that dark steel color, very smooth and lithe for power armor. And what about you, Samuel? What does your power armor look like?
It's actually quite the opposite of Mark armor. It's very massive and bulky armor because it hosts a lot of equipment, commanding unit, sensor unit. It has the targeting systems, signal booster. It has big autocannon on the shoulder, a medium-sized one that shoots 30 millimeters shells. He's getting ready in his big suit, like huge cockpit over his head, so he has a big side inside where he can see like all his troops and how everybody's is doing, like heart rates and stuff like that. On his suit is like all kind of green with like paints on it to make it like camo. There's a big face of a devil on front where his face is. And he's called Lucifer because he's kind of mean to everybody, except his unit. But everybody else, he doesn't care about them. He cares about his unit. So he has
All right.
big, huge one. That's pretty much it. He's looking around at his troops, making sure that everybody's fine, everybody's getting ready. He's waiting for the briefing to know exactly what the call is about.
All right, so maybe your armor looks something like that. I think that's the only
Yeah, that could pretty much be it. Yeah.
that's the only portrait I have with shoulder cannons. But yeah, the big badass suit of armor, devil painted on the face, and as you're coming in, I'm sure there's a lot more people like glaring at you, rolling their eyes, just being like, "Oh my God, not that guy."
Yeah,
But of course,
everybody that's not directly my unit, they just go like, "Oh shit, not him." I
but of course,
just roll in like, "Come on, everybody, settle up. Let's get ready. Move it."
and yes, your own troopers though, they're smiling and they're in on the joke. They're looking around at other people who are not in your fire team, and the other people are, "Oh my God, not this guy." And your troopers are smiling like, "Yeah, that's right. Lucifer's in the house."
Yeah, he's even picking on the troopers from another unit, like, "Move it, soldier! You're too slow." Like, pick that up! Go, go!
Yeah, and as you're coming through, you can see the lieutenant is on site, Gage Barr, and he, presumably, you're also nice to him. He's, of course, your superior officer,
Of course.
and formerly you served together during the Australian Civil War, and he was then your superior officer as well. But you've both been promoted since then. So he gives you a lot of leeway. He knows that you get results, and if the other corporals and the don't like it, then that's their problem. So you both got now into your body suits. You're stepping into the back of your power armors. They kind of open at the back, so that you can step inside. They probably start at for your suit maybe, Shadas, it might start in like a crouch position because it's just easier. You don't have to climb up that way.
Yeah, much
Um,
easier.
Jay, your suit probably just stands there, and you can just step in through the back. And and you can, at first you could feel the back closing. Maybe there's this moment of darkness and claustrophobia, and then the suit really powers up, and it connects to the electrodes in your bodysuit. Your heads-up display comes online, and you're seeing the world in augmented fashion. The suit has cameras placed around it on the shoulders, so you can see in any direction. And you start going through your warm-up routine, checking to make sure that you have full range of movement, rolling your shoulders and stretching your arms. For the stealth suit, Jay may be doing a couple of cartwheels, because you have that kind of agility in your suit, even without the jump jets.
Yeah. Just going through the settings, making sure all my camo settings are set and ready to go, no matter what the terrain is.
Absolutely.
Checking if
And
the targeting system works.
Yeah.
and I didn't mention, but the lieutenant is, of course, already in his armor. It's very similar to yours, Samuel. It's a command suit. And that's how he's directing traffic and making sure everybody is good to go. If anybody is not cleared by the doctors, he's there to make sure they don't argue. They're sitting this one out. If anybody's suit is malfunctioning, same thing. The man has to be 100%, and the machine has to be 100%. And as you've got your suit online, he'll gesture out that airplane hangar door, and you can see on the tarmac there's a drop ship fueled and waiting for you. The engines are already in go position. So you're definitely being kind of hustled out up the ramp onto the drop ship. You sit down in your racks, very crowded on this dropship. You're shoulder to shoulder with everybody, and you might be almost knee to knee with the row in front of you as well. And soon the rear hangar is closed as you're loaded up, and you could feel the G force, pushing you sideways as the dropship takes off, and you start moving out to your destination, which still hasn't really been revealed to you. You're just scrambling on a code red. Now, of course, you'd both be aware of the meteors, and probably aware that today is the day when they were supposed to get close enough to Earth for the planetary defense grid to take them down. It was supposed to be a nice light show, really, but Central Command and the boards of scientists have all promised this is no threat, no danger to Earth. Our missile systems can take down these meteors, no problem at all. Now, as the lieutenant begins his briefing, he tells you that that is, in fact, not the case. And he reviews that situation. He tells you, everybody said it was going to be a cakewalk. Everybody said that we were safe from this bombardment, but that's not the way that it's gone down. We have a meteor impacted in Lagos, Nigeria, and a map will come up for you guys. Maybe starting with the greater African continent, it will zoom in on the Nigerian coast, and then show you Nigeria and exactly where Lagos is located. And it will show you the meteor impact, which is somewhere to the northwest of Lagos in the very dense jungle. And that impact is very similar to an atomic bomb in intensity. It's leveled buildings. It started a massive forest fire in the jungle. And the people in Lagos, you're also, of course, given a map of Lagos. The people of Lagos need help. Other units have already been deployed. The National Guard of Lagos, of Nigeria rather, has been mobilized. They're moving in. It's disaster relief at this point. So the mission is to assist to the best of your ability, and use that strength and that agility of your armor to try to save as many lives as possible. So you potentially face conditions of fire, of dust, of people being injured. It's a developing situation, so not a huge amount is really known about the exact situation as you're going in. So
Sir, if I may ask a question, why are we bringing our weapons then?
And Lieutenant Barr nods his head, and you know that he's smiling. You know Lieutenant Barr well enough, but that's of course concealed by his helmet. And he says, the peacekeepers always are prepared, and we are going to be prepared for any and all circumstance.
All right, thank you, sir. You heard the men, guys. So, let's help these people. Try not to shoot them.
So are there any other questions that are asked of the lieutenant? Jade, does your character have any specific questions?
Not at this time, no.
And that was your only question as well, Samuel?
Yep.
All right. So it does take some time. Your base, as you said, was in, where did you say, northern Canada, Samuel?
Southern Canada, actually. Probably
Southern
somewhere in the
Canada.
maritime, like Newfoundland, not Newfoundland, but
I don't think they have trees in Newfoundland. Labrador,
small ones,
perhaps.
maybe.
Yeah.
Nova Scotia, maybe, like somewhere
All right.
close to the
So we're coming from
Atlantic.
that maritime region, maybe even down into Maine
Yeah.
in the USA, somewhere around that area. So you're flying then across the Atlantic Ocean. And of course, the dropship, there's no windows. It's you're sealed into your suit, the tin can, and you're sealed into the dropship, the flying tin can. So how do you pass the time? Are you like getting geared up? You're listening to some like heavy metal? Are you like falling asleep, taking a nap, watching a movie on your heads-up display? What do you think?
I'd say he's sleeping.
All right, Lucifer's grabbing a nap. What about Mark?
Mark is making sure his gun is completely clean and ready to go, and then he's catching a couple Z's himself.
All right. You guys could probably see across the rack from you two of your privates, Monique Lynch and Ariana Hubbard, codenames Daydream and Rogue, and they're just gossiping. You know, Daydream is just prattling on. You can see Rogue nodding her head, and Daydream is kind of gesticulating as best that she can in the rack that you guys are all strapped into. And fortunately, you know, they're using their radio system. You don't have to hear them. But you could see just she's a body talker, and you almost have to wonder if Rogue even has her channel turned on, or if she's just nodding and not listening at all. Because you know that those two, Daydream is gossip, and she rattles on, and Rogue is her bestie. She's the only other female in that squad, and they've kind of become attached to each other, mainly because Daydream plays horrible practical jokes on people, and Rogue does not want to have any part of that. So she's got close to Daydream so that she's not the target. But now she has to put up with the gossiping. But regardless, eventually you do reach that Nigerian coast. Actually, let me pull up. I have a few pictures of beautiful Lagos as well. I want to get a picture of the drop ship. If I can get my screen share to work again. All right. So yes, unbeknownst to you, probably, you'll be coming in over Lagos. These are actual pictures of Lagos that I've just pulled off of the Google machine. So it's really teeming, bustling coast city. It's actually, as you can see, an island city. There's several different islands connected by bridges. Looks like there's five principal bridges connecting the city together. But unfortunately, the shock wave of that meteor coming down has blown out windows, started fires. There's smoke coming up out of the city. And you guys can't see all of this, but that is where the dropship is flying through. And of course, the jungle, because Lagos is carved out of the jungle, is burning. It's on fire. There's this huge plume of smoke coming up out of that meteor crater as well. But the dropship is coming down. It's a VTOL vertical takeoff and landing. And it's coming down straight over this urban area. The rear is opening, the rear door. and you guys are filing out into the sunshine. So you're seeing, as I said, these skyscrapers, this urban area, these raised highways, and lots of smoke. See some of the buildings have collapsed and crashed down. So Lucifer, you are the corporal of your fire team. It's a 5-man team. And I'm thinking that you have a sapper and then the 2 scouts and the 2 privates, plus yourself. Does that sound correct?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, and you're going to have yes, Daydream, Rogue, Mary, and also Francisco Silence McGuire. And he's a very grim, taciturn individual. He's the sapper on the mission. Let me see if I have a portrait for him here. Soldier portraits, and we had, there we go. So that's codename Silence. So he's got the big, heavy-duty sapper power armor, and he's going to be your fire support, basically. Now let me ask, what weapons do you guys come out with? It is a humanitarian mission. Do you bring your long arms, or do you kind of leave them on the dropship? You probably really shouldn't need them.
Well, I'm always carrying my weapons anyway, so I have my sidearms inside my body armor, which is a gyrojet pistol. I also have my gyrojet rifle with a couple of clips, but I keep it like on a side, not to be bothered by it. And I have my autocannon on my shoulders, which is in rest position.
All right. What about you, Jay?
Mark does not go anywhere without his trademark rifle and the bayonet that goes with it. He actually named the rifle, but no one seems to be able to pronounce it, even him. But it's named after the spear of legendary person from Irish legend. I can't even pronounce his name.
How is it spelled?
Cuchulainn.
I believe that's Kukulkan. I'm sure I'm not saying that right either. But I'll look that up for next time. I know that it's a very famous character.
Oh yes, a very tragic character, but very famous.
Yeah, I know a little bit of that mythology. I was just listening to it the other day on an audiobook, but it escapes me at the moment. But that'll be fun to research. So anyway, you've got your rifle, it's a custom rifle from Celtic mythology or Celtic mythology, depending on who you ask. And they will fight over that pronunciation.
Yes, they will.
So it's just your fire team has come out. The dropship is now taking off. It's still got the other troops on it. They're being deposited around the city so we can do as much good as possible. So what do you do as you come off there? Do you want to make perhaps a perception test to see exactly where you can do the best good, or do you want to tap into the local communications network so you can get some more directed orders? What do you think?
Well, first thing first, I would send at least one of my scout up a building to be able to get an eye view, a bird eye view of the situation, trying to get visual on what's going around us, what's happening around us. And I would indeed do a perception and notice check. How does that work?
All right. Yeah, I'm just pulling up the skill list here so I know what all the skills are.
What is your skill or your notice skill level?
6.
Okay, so you roll that, the D6,
Yeah.
plus your wild die, which is always a 6,
Okay.
and you take the higher of the two.
That would be 5.
There we go. All right. And 4 is the magic number. If you hit a 4, you've succeeded. If you hit 8, that's 4 twice. So you've got a raise in that case.
Right. So I got a 6 plus my 2 for awareness, so that's 8. So I got it with a raise.
With my sensor suite, that would help as well. I don't just let me check what it does. I don't remember. Power armor. Sensor suite. I got +2, so that's even better.
Yeah, it's not quite a raise. You need 8 for a raise, but still very good. So Jay, describe how you get that advantage. Are you leaping, rooftop to rooftop? Are you climbing up the side of a skyscraper? What does that look like as you're going up there to get this bird's eye view?
I'm bouncing from one building to the other until I can get to the highest advantage point that I can, and just seeing, what damage has been done, where the main focus is, and if there seems to be any trouble.
All right. Yeah, so you're bouncing, and you can see that that Mary is right there with you. He's actually kind of following you, and you know that standard doctrine would be for the scouts to split up, but Mary and his doctrine is if there's 2 targets, then he can get behind you, and and he'll be a little safer that way.
Yeah, he'll be watching from the behind, one way, I'm watching the other.
Yeah. So Lucifer, you see Mary doing this. You see him following Mark. You know why Mary is doing this. What's your thought? You're his commanding officer. Do you chastise him for this?
Damn it, rookie! Get on the other building.
All right, and you see him stop and look down at you, and he looks up at Mark, and he'll probably quip something like, I was just trying to keep up. I wanted, like a race, like to make sure that, I was as fast as I could be. Like, he's the measuring stick. That's Mark.
Yeah, but it's not a practice mission. This is the real thing. Get on that building right now.
All right, and you see him leap across the gap, and, grab onto one of the broken windows. All of the windows have been shattered by that sonic boom of the meteor hitting, and then he climbs up the rest of the way. So with your perception test, your notice test there, you see a variety of people in need. There's a collapsed building that seems to be blocking some ambulances that are trying to get into this area. You also see on the other side a burning building, and you can see people on the roof of that burning building waving and looking around for help.
All right.
Those are the 2 that are evident to you on notice tests.
Silence, Daydream. Get me a passage through that building so the ambulance can get there. Rogue, you're with me. We're helping those people on top of this building.
All right. And what about your scouts?
I'm waiting to have a report of what they see. So.
Well, I was giving that as
okay.
what
That's
they see.
the info. Okay.
You could probably only see the burning building, but with their intelligence, with their notice, their vantage, you also see that blocked convoy of ambulances and medical supplies.
I'm gonna guess we were given a rough map of the city.
And you can access it on your heads-up display.
Yep. and I call out, "Hey, building down in on road such and such, blocking emergency response. We have civilians trapped on building. So many clicks this way." And just pointing out each situation as I see it.
All right. So, Shadas, you've already directed the other troops. Where do you direct the scouts to?
Okay. Mary, you're with Silence and Daydream. Have fun. Mark, you with me.
Aye, sir.
Okay. Silence, Daydream, Mary, you sent them to the block building, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Just for my own notation, so I know who is where. So that leaves the two of you and Rogue.
They probably, Rogue and Daydream probably make a comment about being separated, but I don't give a damn.
Daydream might. Rogue is pretty happy to be away from Daydream. Yeah, Daydream is just, she's a talker. She goes on and on and on.
Yeah, well, she's with Mary and Silence. So
yeah. So this is Rogue right here. So she's very happy to be on your team and to be away from Daydream for a little bit. And you remember when Rogue, came into the platoon, and she was a pretty butch-looking lady, but once she teamed up with Daydream, she got a makeover. So now she's got, her tips dyed, and her hair is dyed, and so she's wearing makeup, and yeah, she's Daydream has made sure that she looks respectable. So she's representing the platoon well. Hellfire platoon, that's it. I'm just trying to keep all my notes in order. So you guys are heading over towards that burning building. It's about 5 stories. It's got a tower on one end and then kind of an L-shaped roof around that tower. It takes up pretty much an entire block. It's a very large building. And the fire is at least on the first 2 floors, and then the tower, it seems to be up to the 3rd floor as well. So how do you approach this situation?
is there a fire post somewhere close? Is it called a fire post? The red thing?
A hydrant.
Yeah.
Fire hydrant or a water tower?
Any of those two.
I don't think there would be a water tower nearby, but yes, you can definitely find fire hydrants, probably, one on each side, not immediately adjacent to the building in every case, but close enough, yes.
Okay, so is it close enough that if we pierce it, the water will splash toward the building and enough to put out some of the fire?
That's a good question. I think it would take like a strength test to get access to the water, whether that's just kicking the thing off or.
Oh, I've got armor-piercing rounds.
Okay. That'll work just as well. And then probably, I'm thinking like a knowledge engineering test to direct the water where it will do the most good.
Well,
does that sound correct to you, Jay?
Let me see. Seems how most people would know how a fire hydrant actually works. I'd say a common knowledge roll, or
maybe just a smarts test.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because you need to know. You just basically point it at the base of the fire.
Just get the water flowing in that direction.
8. That's
All right,
max.
that's a raise. So you know exactly where to put the water in that
wait.
case.
That was a max on the die?
Yep.
All right, then you re-roll that and add it together.
Really?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
called acing.
12.
All right, and 12 is actually another raise. So that's 2 raises on that test. So Lucifer springs into action. Did you say you just blow up the fire hydrant?
Yeah, I'm not wasting time. Just
Blow
taking
up
my
the fire
rifle,
hydrant.
shoot one bullet to it.
Like step into the water. The geyser comes shooting up, and you just step into it and use your body like as a funnel. And you're pointing the spray into that flame. And what about you, Mark and Lucifer? What do you direct Rogue to do? Remember, there are still people
Yep.
inside.
I direct Rogue and Mark to see if they can manage to get like a pathway that would be safe for the civilians to get out of there. Probably send Mark to the top where the civilians are, and Rogue to find the path.
Yeah, Mark was planning on going from rooftop to rooftop until he got to the burning building, and starting grabbing civilians 2 by 2 and getting them down to street level.
All right. So yeah, as you land on the roof, Mark, you're like swarmed. Like 6 people come running over to you, and they're all waving and talking at you in Nigerian, and they're in a great deal of distress. You know, they need some help here. So,
right. So I hold up my hands. I just show them stop. I point 2, then I point at myself, and then I point at the ground.
all right, make a persuasion test to try to get them to calm down enough to like only go 2 by 2 and not try to swarm you. Because unfortunately, they're panicked. So it's like dealing with a drowning person. Unfortunately, their first instinct is to pull you under to pull themselves up.
And unfortunately, this is an unskilled roll. So a 2.
All right, so that's a fail. But let's say Rogue might see that you're kind of having trouble. You're being swarmed. You're trying to
I have
get
an
them under
idea.
control.
Does he have a speaker on his on his suit? I can direct my voice through the speaker though, and tell everybody to calm down and to just stay.
Yeah, but do they speak English?
I don't care. I mean, I have a very authoritarian voice.
You could run it through like a translation program. I'm sure you know we have prototypes for that now, so I'm sure by then we'd have something. It might not work great, but for a simple command, it should.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, if you want, yes, you can
That
try
would
persuasion
be
test.
Okay. I got 3. No, that's not good.
All right. So now you're shouting. Rogue though will see that you're in trouble. She'll land, and she probably won't even try to persuade them. She'll like try to grab, because there's 6 of them. She'll try to grab 3 and jump down with them, and then hopefully you can either grab 3 or just push one down and just grab the other.
Try to grab it.
Yeah.
No,
So
I'm gonna
make.
I'm gonna grab 2 and try and get back up as quickly as I can.
All right. So make a. Let's see. I think that would just be agility test. I don't think there's a relevant skill for like jumping or athletics.
In the new Savage World settings, there would be, but no, not in the current system rules.
All right. So yeah, make an agility test then to jump down without injuring them. Rogue has made her test. So she got her 3 down safely. She set them down and pointed in the direction of that medical convoy. And then they go running off.
I got a 7.
All right, great success. So, yes, you've also leaped down with your 2, set them down. They'll probably see Rogue pointing. They'll run off in that direction.
And then I get ready to jump back up to the roof.
All right. I think, Samuel, you're going to be like directing that water flow for a while because it'll take a little while for it to actually make an impact on the fire. You are certainly preventing it from spreading, which is good.
Is there a car close by?
Ah, there you go. Yes, we'll say there is.
Once the civilians are down safely, I'll try to grab a car, ask for Rogue's help and Mark's help to push it toward the water and try to put it in a way that it pushes the water toward the building.
All right. If you want, you can just make a strength test to do that yourself, and then if you fail the test,
I could actually. I have the repair skill.
Yeah,
I could jerry rig something to so that it flows properly.
Yeah, but
Sure.
we don't have much time for that. It's just like to put it there to try to splash the place and try to help more people. That's my goal. So that would be a 5.
All right. So yeah, you're able to then grab a car and just drag it over and drop it. And maybe it's not spraying at the right angle, and you like grab the front of the car and just crumple it and bend it so that it's spraying that water into the heart of the blaze. Jay, did you say that you were going to jump back onto the building?
Yep.
All right. So I'll do the same thing. You grab up the remaining person and make a agility test to jump them down without hurting them.
That would be a 9.
So great success. So yeah, you set the last person. Maybe it's like a girl, dressed for her day at the office, and the office unfortunately caught on fire. So she goes running off after the other people. And Rogue is kind of looking around, and she sees like a big truck, like a moving truck or a panel truck. She kind of points at that and says, Corporal, maybe we could lean that up against the building and make like a funnel or something so that people could slide down.
Roger that. Let's go.
All right, so maybe the 2 of you run over, try to manhandle that van up into position. So make a strength test for that. And she will too.
Oh, 6. That's the max. Roll again. 8. So when I roll the max, I roll again. That's it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir.
8.
All right.
And you have been rolling your wild die?
I've not even been rolling my wild die.
Yeah, make sure you roll your wild die.
Forget that.
So that's so you said you got a raise?
Yep.
Perfect. So Rogue is not of as much help as she could be. She's just a little awkward maneuvering this big van, but you're doing most of the work, but you are able, between the 2 of you, mostly you, to get this van pulled up and position it so that there's a possibility of somebody like clambering over the top. Maybe you actually put the butt end of the van up there.
Yep.
So they come through on a flatter area. And Rogue might just tear the front out of the box, so then they can just come right through and climb over the cab to get down to the ground. And you've picked an area with as little flame as possible to position this, so the safest area that you can. And I think we'll come back around, so you guys each get another action on the next turn. So Jay, Samuel, initiative doesn't matter very much. What do you guys do next?
Since it's done for the civilians in that building, is there any more? No.
Well, there's still more people inside. You just got the people off the roof.
Okay,
And
so
you can maybe hear, or maybe even see, like you can hear screams. You can maybe see the occasional person like at a window waving for help. The windows are all broken out. Oh.
Okay, I send Rogue to the second or third floor where there's people, and ask her to direct these people toward the van so they can more easily get down. And I get on top of the van and try to pick the people, put them down, pick the people, put them down.
All right. So yeah, Rogue is going to go then inside. I'm thinking it'll be like, she's not doing a good job. She's trying to find people and direct them through, but
Damn it, Private!
There's a lot of smoke and noise and some flames, and she's able to make some very small headway, but not much. What about you, Mark? What are you doing?
Starting with the roof, I'm going in. First thing I'm looking for is a map of the building, because most of these buildings, they're going to have a way to direct people, and I'm going to be taking that with me, so that if I find anyone, I can point to a spot and have them see, hey, there's a van out there you can escape through.
All right. So you could probably pull up a map of the building on your heads-up display. Get some Google foo going on. And I don't think that requires a test.
Yeah, but would they be able to see it?
Yeah, but those maps usually are next to the stairs, so that's not they're not hard to find.
Yeah. Yeah, they could. Well, I'm probably just going to reduce it to dice roll. I'm thinking notice to find people as quickly and as efficiently as possible, and then persuasion to correctly communicate where they have to go. So do you want to make those tests?
All right. First, the notice roll. Notice is a 4.
Success.
And persuasion is a 3.
All right, so you're able to send them towards the one end of the building, but the exact location, you think you told them right, but they're not really understanding properly. That may be a language barrier, or it may just be it's hard to communicate that. They're panicky. But you're moving through, you're finding a lot of people. You're busting open closets that people are hiding in. You're checking through the washrooms that people are hiding in. Because some people, they panic and their instinct is to hide and wait for rescue. And you're able to go through and get them if they're under tables, or just find them even around the windows. And those are the easy people to find, and you could tell them, this way you got to go through and then down and then through and around. And that's where they get a little confused, but they're heading in the right direction at least.
Well, once I've done a thorough search, I would be going with them towards the area. So
yeah, well, it's a big building to search, unfortunately.
Yeah,
we'll come through to the next turn. Shada, so you still staying down there, kind of helping them to disembark, or what are you doing?
Yep, I'm sending Rogue to help though.
Yeah, well, she's up in the building. She's just not doing a great job.
Yeah,
she's fine.
I keep bitching her. To your fucking job, Private. But I'm helping people down.
So we'll give her another chance here. This time she's got a raise, so that's good. So she is getting her shit together. She's checking the bathrooms now. She's checking under tables. She's being more thorough and getting more people. And she's not trying even to give as specific directions as Mark is, but she's already on the right floor, so they don't have such complicated directions in the first place. So Mark, you're doing the same thing this round, is that correct?
Yep.
All right, so give me those rolls again. And I'm thinking you've cleared the one floor basically, and you're just moving down now. So you were on 4, now you're going down to 3. Rogue is now cleared 2. 1 is kind of a lost cause. It's all in flames.
Oh yeah. So I just got a raise on
Perfect.
my notice. And that's a 3 on persuasion.
Okay. But, because Rogue has done such a good job now, you don't need to go down to the next floor. You can stick with these people and really guide them. And you've done a great job sweeping the area, checking under the cubicles, checking in the bathrooms, all those places, the closets, anywhere people might try to hide, the copy rooms. So you're very confident that you've got the building as clear as it's going to be. And thanks to that fire hydrant, the fire has not been spreading the way it would have. So you think that this building is clear at this point?
Very well. Do we see a movement, or not movement, but do we see like people are trying to organize themselves or something like that? Is there firefighters close by or anything?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. Let me just check my sheet here.
I know in most disaster responses, there's a command center or a operating base where they're supposed to send people.
Yeah, I'm thinking you guys are kind of more like on the outskirts. Because you have such good mobility, you've been sent to the regions where it's harder to reach for
Okay.
the emergency services. So you don't see anyone arriving as of yet. You'll probably now get a situation report from Daydream as to how they did clearing the building. So I'll make some rolls to see how they did clearing the building. Since you sent Silence, he's basically gonna like blow that building apart. So
That's why I sent him there.
Yeah. Okay, so he's still in the process of clearing it. And he's directed Mary and Daydream to kind of fan out into the area behind the building where the EMTs are trying to get to, so that they can direct people in and say, there's going to be medical station here, go here. So I'll just roll for them to see how they've done on that sweep. Mary did an excellent job. Daydream, she did okay. So they've got a pretty large area of the city there behind that fallen building, kind of swept for any disaster, for any major emergency. They've rescued some people and they've directed them into where the EMTs are coming through. And Silence is just kind of finishing off, blowing enough of a pathway for this ambulance. So basically those two areas, the burning building and the collapsed building, are pretty much taken care of. At that point, you'll probably get like an update, some directives from the lieutenant that let me see, the Lieutenant Barr will be telling you that in your sector, they're getting reports in that there are some people trapped in the subway, that the subway tunnel has partially collapsed. There are people in a car, a subway car, and probably many subway cars, kind of buried in rubble. And there's also let's see. There's also a hospital where a large truck had crashed into the front of the hospital and kind of collapsed a section of it. So they've managed to get through on the phones and communicate this, that they've lost power. They're on generator backups, and there are a lot of people there that are critically injured before this disaster happened. They're on life support, and they need help. They need evac, or they need somebody who can come in and get this fixed.
All right. Is those two events far from each other?
Well, it's hard to coordinate on the subway the scale of the problem over there. But from the report that the lieutenant's able to give you, then they're about 6 blocks distant from each other.
Okay, so since only 3% would not be enough to make much progress on the subway thing, I commend the whole unit to get to the hospital first to help these people. Then we get to the subway.
Now, you could always try to direct that medical convoy that Silence is just clearing up and just try to get them into the hospital. So that's an option. Or yeah, you could go there and see what you can do with your team.
Well, we give them instructions to get to the hospital, but there's many people around that also need their help. So we'll get everybody get to the hospital first. We get a view of the situation there. Then I'll decide if we go to the subway or if we stay at the hospital.
All right. So you guys would all probably arrive at the hospital. You would arrive a little bit ahead of Daydream and Mary, and then they would arrive pretty shortly after, and then Silence would be last because he's still clearing a little bit of that rubble, and his armor is slower anyway. So you get to the hospital. You see again, all the windows have been blown out, and you could see that truck crashed into the front, and it destroyed a support pillar. And yeah, there's like a big section of the wing of this hospital has been collapsed. It's obviously not a well-built structure in the first place. And how do you approach the situation?
Okay, so I send our 2 scouts inside to see if, because they're quicker than me anyway, to get a topo of the situation inside and try to calm people and get the info about where the help is needed the most. Me and Silence, we're gonna try to clear the front of the building as much as possible where it has collapsed, and I send Daydream and Rogue together to get inside as well when they get there.
All right.
David, I do have a question. I probably should have asked this beforehand. What is your ruling on languages?
Good question. Since you're American, I think we should use the default rules.
Default rules of the
char-
setting. Yeah, the default rules are in a multilingual setting, a character has half of their smarts die in languages.
Yeah. And then what's the other one? The multicultural one is a little different, right? Trying to find where exactly that
Linguist.
is.
That's a edge that someone can take, and that would allow them to take their full smarts in languages.
Yeah, but I know there's a setting rule. I just can't find it where the setting rules are in the book here. But I know there's a setting rule that changes it up a little bit. But I would say in the USA, yeah, half your smarts die. I guess that sounds appropriate. I wonder if the other one is just that everybody has the linguist edge for free.
109. It's the page you're looking for in the standard book.
No, it's not it in mine. I have the deluxe edition.
I got the Deluxe Explorers edition. That might be why.
Yeah, yours is a little more condensed than mine.
Okay, here it is.
What is it between the
multiple
what's the
languages?
section?
Setting rules. Multiple languages. Some settings feature creatures and cultures who typically speak many different languages. If the setting rule is in play, your hero knows his national or cultural language plus an additional number of languages equal to half his smarts die. The example it gives: an elf with a D8 smarts in a sword and sorcery campaign knows Elvish and 4 other languages.
So what's the default? Is the default just that you don't get your cultural one? You have to pay for it?
No, I think that is the default because that's the setting rule. But some people just ignore it and just have a common language.
Let's see, knowledge. Now I'm checking the knowledge language gimmick.
Or there's that option of in order to get to know a language, you must have it as a knowledge that language, and that would also give you knowledge of the culture and written works in that language.
I think I thought the default was you only get one language and you have to buy each one as an extra skill. Fortunately, the book is just not very well laid out. Yeah, it's horribly laid out, in fact.
Yeah.
Well, in Nigeria, the national language is English, Usa, Igbo, and Yoruba. So I think English is not much of a problem.
English?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I've clearly not done a good amount of research. I got lots of fun maps, but I should have checked out the local language.
With
a lot of the
with a lot of the colonizing that happened, in the 18th and 19th or 19th and 20th centuries, a lot of countries have multiple languages that they speak, mainly European languages.
Yeah, I did see that Lego was a Portuguese colony back in the 1600s. That was my research, but I didn't research the language. Regardless, I'll say your character speaks whatever languages he makes that makes sense for him to speak. So if you think you speak Nigerian, or if you, at this point, like you said, Samuel, I think it's moot because they probably speak English.
Probably most of the people understand a little bit of English anyway, since English, like I said, is one of the official languages.
Yeah, I should have researched that. I apologize.
Haha, you did not catch us on that.
I didn't catch you on that. So then, yeah, Mark, as you and Mary, come in to make contact and assess the situation, a doctor might run up to you, and he basically summarizes the same thing that the lieutenant did. He says, "Sir, the generator has been damaged. We need to either repair it or remove these people to a medical facility that has functioning power. A backup generator is not able to cope, sir."
All right. I definitely don't have any skill with the electrical engineering, so any repair roll would definitely be at a penalty. Looking at the how feasible would a evacuation be?
Well, the doctor will tell you, if you ask him, that they have been getting everyone who needs to be moved ready to be moved. They've even got their ambulances set up so that they can be moved more easily, but he doesn't know where to direct them to. He's having a lot of trouble. There's so much chaos with the communication network and who is where.
Yeah. So, looking at Mary, Mark says, "Mary, you're on directing evac. I'm gonna see what I can do about getting the power somewhat stable."
Is there
Mary nods.
in the unit? Do we know who's the most qualified to repair the electrical system?
Silence has some very basic repairability, but only basic. So unless you guys do, then I don't think anybody does.
I've got the bare minimum in repair.
I got a D6. Yeah. I got a D6 in repair. So I'm not the best, but I'm not bad.
So for something like this, that would be an assist. So Silence and I would make repair rolls, and for every success or raise would be added to your roll.
Okay.
Is that added +2? Is that correct?
So basically, if I got a success, it's a +1. I get a raise, it's a +2.
Okay, so it's +1.
And so on and so forth. +1 for every success or raise.
All right. Yeah, and if you go down to look at the generator, then it's in really rough shape. It would either take quite a bit of time or a very good mechanic to repair. So if you're not very good, or at least one of you isn't, it would probably be safer and quicker for the people to just evacuate them or bring medical help or medical facility or an actual engineer in there.
Okay, can I call command and ask if they can send an engineer here?
Yeah. Let's see. So they'll tell you that they do have like a National Guard engineer in the next sector of the city, but they don't have any quick way to get in there. So you could send Mary or Mark to try to like courier him over, but it may still. Will that be faster than evacuating? It's hard to say.
Well, my main goal is not to evacuate the hospital since most of the require equipment to save civilians is there. So if we evacuate and abandon the building, kind of need what's inside. So yeah, I tried to with Mark and Silence, I tried to get the generator working as best as possible. I sent Mary to get the engineer, and I tell Daydream and Rogue to help however they can in the surrounding area or in directly inside the hospital.
All right. So yeah, Mary is going to head out to try to get that engineer and courier him back. I'm going to make some tests for him. So proceeding about average speed overall. He's now. Have you told him to stop to ignore anybody who's in danger?
Yep.
And
Yeah,
okay,
I told
okay,
him to like bolt, not bolt, but to rush
yeah,
to the
high
engineer and come
priority.
back. Whatever happened, he just has to get there and come back as quickly as possible. Otherwise, I'm gonna kick his ass.
All right. So he'll go off as fast as he can. Um, Rogue and Daydream then are going to try to clear some of this rubble from the hospital and make sure that there's no casualties, nobody trapped. So that's not a terribly difficult job, but it is an important one. Some of the patients there, may have been pinned or cut off or trapped or whatever. So they're getting to work doing that. You said yourself and Silence are going to try to repair the generator, correct?
Yep.
And who's making the? I guess it doesn't matter because you're both like a D6. So you go ahead and roll, and he.
Was I helping with the generator or?
Yep. You got
Okay.
skills in that. You're gonna help.
Yep. Yep. So I got a raise on my wild die. So
Nice.
that's an 8. So you get a +2 to your roll.
And +1 from Silence. He just got a success. So +3 total. And you go ahead and make your roll.
That would be +3. That would be a 7.
And you did roll your wild?
Yep.
All right.
All right. So it's taking you quite a while then to actually try to conduct these repairs. So the three of you working together, you're able to make some amount of progress, but it's taking quite a while, unfortunately. Eventually, Mary does return with the engineer, and he probably returns, before you guys are able to complete your repair. So the engineer is there. He's able to finish off what you guys got started. But let's say it might have taken like an hour to actually do that. And in the meantime, Rogue and Daydream have been moving out further to secure the rest of the sector as best they could. So they've been doing good as best they're able to do. And that brings us to 9 o'clock real time. You said you needed to take a break around now, Samuel?
Yep. 5 to 10 minutes so I can get the kids to bed.
Okay. So yeah, why don't we take a quick break and we'll come back and get a conclusion.
Excellent.
All righty.
With the kids all tucked in, Samuel?
Yep, the youngest one is. The oldest one is watching TV.
How old are your kids again?
10 and 12.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It's not such a process of getting them to bed.
No,
As if
no,
they were,
yeah. Once it was much more much more work than that.
I was living with my friend and her kids, and they were 3 and 4, and getting them to bed was a whole thing.
Yeah, I remember that.
Get my pictures of Legos pulled back up here. All right. You guys are good to jump back in?
Yep, I am.
You're all set, Jay?
Yep.
Okay. So we left our daring heroes in the ruins of Lagos as the beautiful southern Nigerian city has been devastated by a meteor impact. This sprawling megacity of, I believe, 18 million people. It's one of the largest cities in Africa, if not the largest. It's right up there with Cairo. Has been facing down this natural disaster with help from the UN peacekeepers, who are our heroes. You have managed to clear a collapsed building. You have rescued people from a burning building. And now you have gotten a vital engineer in to repair the power grid of a hospital. Perhaps you're about to turn your sights on that collapsed subway tunnel that the lieutenant had informed you of, but he comes back to you over your radio system before you can exit or exunt from the hospital wreckage. And he tells you that there's apparently a report that one of the other fire teams is in distress in the north of the city. They're in the sector adjacent to yourself. They were clearing people and assisting with evacuation on the edge of the city, bordering that jungle. Apparently, there had been some jungle has caught flame, and they were assisting at the time in fighting that raging forest fire to keep it out of the populated area and to evacuate the people and apparently a national park and some animals. But apparently they've sent out a distress signal. They need help. And now contact has been lost with them, in fact. So you've been assigned to go and investigate and assist, see what is happening on the edge of the jungle.
All right, so I gathered a unit. Let's move out. We got some troopers who need help.
All right.
And we start to make our way toward the last known position.
I'd assume, Mark, that you and or Mary are in the lead. Probably Mary is, as usual, trying to stick close to you.
I order him not to. I want like
proper formation.
Proper formation, like two scouts.
Yep.
We get eyes to cover a large area, so large.
All right. So make notice tests as you're moving into this other sector, especially Mark.
Alrighty. That's a 6.
All right. So as you're moving through, you can see that a command center has been established. They've got a medical tent. You could see several areas where there's evidence that your cohorts were doing good. The roads have been cleared. There are some pathways. There are people moving. And ahead of you, you're heading north now, and you can see that huge smoke plume miles high and miles distant, which is where the meteor actually impacted. And you could see a lot of haze and smoke. You could see some of the glow of the wildfire. It's now coming into the afternoon, but you don't at first see any trace of them, and you're of course taking these big leaps, in your power armor, rooftop to rooftop often. And here the urban sprawl is thinning out. The buildings are getting lower and smaller. And you can see the edge of the jungle. You can see that fire, which is their last known position, is where they were trying to fight this fire.
Is there a civilian around?
There are a lot of civilians still in the area, yes.
Okay.
And you may pass some of them who are in need of attention. Do you divert to help any people, or do you stay on mission and go
I
to
stay on
find
mission.
your?
I was just wondering if it was deserted or if there was some live living people there. So if
Yeah,
there
it's
was
not
living people, I just keep
deserted.
going.
Yeah, they're trying not to, evacuate the whole city, just the areas that can't sustain life anymore or safe living. But as you are moving closer to the jungle and closer to their last position, you see something, and at first you're confused. It doesn't make any sense. It's like this huge mound of dirt or earth, and then you see a gout of flame. And at first, you think that that it's smoldering from the wildfire. The fires are only a few hundred meters away, so you're getting pretty close to the fire. There's a lot of smoke overhead and haze. Fortunately, the wind is not blowing the smoke at you. It's blowing at your back. But this big mound, and then there's a gout of flame coming from the edge of this mound. And then you see the entire mound move and shudder. And as you look, you could see that that gout of flame came from a suit of power armor. It's a flamethrower. You see the mound has pinned a power armor trooper down. And as you're watching, you see that this mound shifts and moves. You realize that it's alive. It's an enormous creature with legs pushing it forward. It appears to have 8 legs and these 2 huge tentacle-like protuberances. One of them is pinning a trooper down. You see it raise the other one up, and the trooper fires his flamethrower again, and it doesn't seem to have any impact on the dirt brown carapace of this creature. It brings its claw down and crushes him and caves in his armor.
Light it up!
So we'll roll initiative at this point. We usually do just agility tests, and then we just go from highest to lowest. I know, Mark, you're probably familiar with the cards in the book. I'm not a big fan
There's
of
the
that.
cards, or there's the D12 option, in which you roll a D12 and use that as initiative.
We could do that. What do you prefer, Samuel? Agility or D12?
It's your rules. I don't know. I can go with the D12. I don't
I like
mind.
the agility die because then you still
Yep.
have some kind of statistical bonus from your build.
Okay.
I just hate the cards. I'm not a fan.
All right.
Does
So
that sound
let's.
acceptable to you, Mark?
It's acceptable. It's just the cards are just a little bit better because the Joker gives an advantage.
Yeah, I know it's different. Yes, I just don't like there being two different like core mechanics
Oh,
in the
I
same
understand.
game. I just get confused. So okay, roll agility, and we'll go highest to lowest.
8.
All right. 8.
All right. So who has the higher agility of the two of you? What's your die codes?
D10.
8. 8.
All right. So Mark, you'll go first then. Between you and Shadas, I'll roll for Big Nasty here. He's surprisingly agile. I can't roll to save his life though.
All right. What's the distance
Mark.
between us and the monster?
So you've got kind of a almost like a suburban area. There are some houses, cars, and there's a road that goes towards it. And you've got kind of the edge of the jungle. It looks like it came crashing or lumbering out of the jungle from the direction of that crater where the meteor came down, which is some miles distant. That doesn't matter. The jungle is now starting to be inflamed. Maybe it was driven out by the flames. But when you're able to get a clear visual of it, you're probably like 300 meters away, I would say, or thereabouts. So you can see it from a ways off.
Shoot. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get closer then. Because
Right.
I want to try and get within 120 meters.
All right. And how do
however
you approach it?
No, wait.
Do you come in leaping? Do you try to circle around? Do you try to use your stealth? Do you run towards it?
I want to try and find a sniper's vantage point and try and stay as hidden as possible.
All right. So like I said, there are some houses in the area. So maybe you come down, near the creature and you run over towards this house using your stealth system. You come up onto the roof so you can get a vantage to snipe at this thing.
All right.
Samuel, how do you approach, and what do you, how do you direct your team?
Okay. Here's what I'm doing. The scouts, I already know they're getting into position. I've seen Mark making his way to our vantage point so he can shoot. I've already ordered the entire squad to open fire. So probably, surely Silence is gonna try to unload his entire gun on the thing. Daydream and Rogue, I asked them to fire at the thing as well. As for me, just a little question here. I have a mounted weapon and I have a hand weapon. So can I shoot them both?
The default is that you can take as
Okay.
many different kinds of actions as you want. But if
Okay.
it's the same type of action, then you can't do that.
Okay.
You can't make two shooting tests unless you have an edge. There is a certain edge that you can take, I believe, that allows you to do two
Fine.
shooting.
Hold on. That would be from two different weapons. You could, because they are considered two different weapons. You're not firing from the same thing. but you would take the multi-action penalty.
Okay.
Oh. Do you know where that is in the rule book? Because I thought it was the type of action, not the implement.
Technically, because it's shoulder mounted, you would be controlling it a separate way than you would the weapon in your hand. So it would fall under 2 actions. It falls under multi-action penalty. Like if you had 2 melee weapons or 2 pistols, you could fire them both. But because you don't have the 2-handed, you have the multi-action penalty.
Okay, it basically answered my question because I'm not shooting both weapons. I'm going to be shooting the mounted weapon first. And while I do that, I switch the magazine on my gyrojet rifle. I pass from armor-piercing rounds to the boomers.
That would still be considered multi-action.
Oh, okay. I'll try to shoot first then. Ask question after.
Yeah. It's so your shooting roll and your wild die -2.
Why -2?
Because the multi-action penalty.
Yeah, but if I'm not changing my my magazine yet, I don't take the penalty, right?
If you're doing it all in the same round, you do take the penalty.
Okay, I won't be doing that yet. I've been thinking that maybe the guy in the power armor that's been crushed might still be alive, so I'm trying not to blow him up. So yeah, I'm gonna shoot my mounted weapon, and I have it has how many rounds can I shoot? Rate of fire 3. How does that work? If I can shoot 3 bullets. I take a penalty.
No. You roll 3 because it has a rate of fire of 3.
Yeah.
You have no penalty.
Okay. Good.
All right. So we essentially can make 3 shots with that weapon. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
So first shot, I got 12.
All right. And
Yes.
Jay, for the size of the creature, we add the size bonus to the to hit.
It's +1 for every size greater than we are.
Okay. Oh yeah, I think I see here. Let's see. Pretty sure you can't miss the thing because it's so big. But I'm just trying to double check the rules here.
Yeah, the main issue would be
there
its
it is.
toughness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So 12
So
for the
it's-
first round, 13 for the second one, and 7 for the third.
All right. And yeah, you get +4 to hit.
Okay. So it sounds like all of those hit with a raise. So you would roll the damage of each of those plus a d6
Okay.
to each one.
All right. I've got a armor piercing. It's 6. So
Okay.
come on, roll. Okay, there we go. Okay. Plus a d6. That's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, first round. I've got 19 point of damage. The second one, I've got 11. And the last one, 7, which is very bad.
But none of those actually penetrate through its armor.
Fuck.
So describe what that looks like as you open fire and it's absorbed by the carapace of this this huge brute.
All right, so I shoot with my autocannon on the shoulder, like boom, 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 and every single shot just go boom, 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 And my characters just go like, "Oh shit!"
And the creature will like rear up. It definitely feels something, and it's looking around. It's squinting. It's got these two rows of eyes that are kind of like blinking and glistening. And you think that it definitely seems to see you. It starts to drag itself, its mass, towards you. It's not a very nimble creature. Where exactly did you come down? Are you like standing in the middle of the road, or up on a roof, or
on the side of a building? Like I'm open, but like I can move to the side of the building if I want to hide.
Mm-hmm. And it sees you there, as I said, and it drags itself forward just slightly, and then it has those two almost lobster-like claws on these pulpy tentacles. And it digs them into the ground and scoops these huge handfuls of earth up, and it actually throws it as if it were using its ropey tentacles like a giant sling.
Just a little reminder. It's a heavy weapon, by the way. If it changes anything.
Yeah, yeah, it good. Because
I'm just saying.
otherwise
I mean,
you'd be in the world of trouble.
it used 2 mods on my armor, so yeah, it's a big weapon. So heavy weapon. Just saying.
Yeah.
To change something or not.
All right, so it throws those clumps of earth at you, and it does not aim very well. But one of them comes down, maybe like in the driveway, and just smashes the car of the house that you're hanging on to. The other one comes in through the roof, and I'll actually get you to make an agility test as the wall kind of buckles out because most of the building has now been destroyed. Just make an agility test to land.
Okay, I got 5.
Success.
Yep.
So yeah, you land on your feet. You're fine. Rubble might pour down around you, but it's nothing you need to worry about in your armor. The rest of the squad is going to move in and open fire on the creature. I'm just getting now is your autocannon 2d12, is that correct?
3d8.
Oh, you got the big one.
I got a medium one. The big one is stronger than that.
Yeah. But that one needs the 2 mod slots, is that correct?
Yeah, that's the 2 mod one.
Okay. Well, let's say that Silence has the same going on then.
That doesn't
So
sound good.
yeah, he's got the same effect. He's he's not leading the charge because that's not what heavy weapons do. But he's kind of like planted himself maybe like behind a car, and he's like grabbing the car, and he's got his shoulder mounted cannon. He's just really anchored himself, and it opens fire, but a similar effect to what you had. And let's see, Mary is going to come in with his sniper rifle. What rifle did you grab, Jay?
I grabbed just a standard laser rifle.
Okay, so you're doing like 3d6 damage, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, we're basically coming at this thing with some flashlights. Because Mary has he's actually gone inside of one of the other houses, and he's shooting through the window, so he has pretty good cover. But his laser is just kind of bouncing off this thing. It's not having any real effect. Rogue and Daydream are going to go on the hop towards it, kind of pressing together. And they come within like 30 yards maybe of this thing. They're really trying to zoom in on its head, but it's got a big piece of plate carapace on its head, and it's kind of angling that into their fire, and nothing's doing a lot of damage to this thing. So we'll come back to you, Jay.
Alrighty.
You're up on the roof. You said 120 yards or 120 meters.
Yeah, I got to be within 120 at least in order to get a -4 towards my shooting.
And remember, you're +4 to hit.
Yep. So that would even it out. But where is it?
Do you have the on your armor? No, you don't have it. Never mind. You don't.
Here
have
it is. Now, because of how big it is, how are you ruling on called shots?
That's exactly what I was just pulling up. It's the called shot. On my book, that's page 71. So basically, the way it works is the bigger the penalty to your shooting, the bigger the damage bonus is.
Yep.
Shooting a limb is generally -2. A head is or a small target is -4. On this thing, I would recommend you take a tiny target. Because -6 to your shooting, but you get +4 damage.
That was actually what I was planning.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you should be as a sniper thinking about.
Yeah. Okay, so -6 from that. I'm at my maximum distance, so that's brings it up to -10. However, I have not moved this round, so I get a +2 for marksman. I'm using my trademark weapon, so that's +3 total. Nice. So overall, I'm at a -7.
All right.
No, not that. That. I just hit it.
Perfect. Roll damage, and you get that +4 damage.
Alrighty, so that's 3d6. 13.
13 does not penetrate its armor. Still. So you shot it in the eye, but it closed its eye, and its skin is burned, but it's not actually injured, and it just blinks, and it's still moving.
And
it's pissed.
Lucifer, we might want to call in an airstrike.
That's what I'm going to be doing on my round. I'm going to do something else than shooting.
It is your turn, Samuel.
All right, so I get...
It would probably be occurring to you that maybe some grenades or explosives might be in order for this bad boy.
That's exactly what I'm doing this round. I'm not shooting. I'm switching my mag to the boomer on my gyrojet rifle. So basically, it turns my bullets into rockets, actually missiles, with large
5d6, I believe.
5d6, large blast radius, heavy weapon still. And I call on the radio that we have contact, hostile contact. And I try to send some image as well to the command center, so they can see that this thing is coming toward us. So that's my round.
All right. You're not going to take any shots because you're trying to save from that multi-action penalty, correct?
Well, even if I shoot, it doesn't do much yet. So I'm I'm gonna concentrate on getting the call in to get some
Okay.
help and send some image and switching my bullets to something more explosive.
Sounds good. Let's see. All right, so Rogue is actually going to, Rogue and Daydream, they've moved in pretty close to it, and they're firing this stream of uh, laser energy into its head area. It's thrashing around. It's absorbing tremendous impact from all of you guys. I think you're all pretty much focusing on the head because you've seen that its carapace, its body is so well armored. So it's thrashing around, but it's hasn't really taken any injuries yet. It looks burned and mad, but not really hurt. And Rogue is getting frustrated at this, and you know that she has a lot of close combat experience, and she's actually going to queue up her. She has like a power blade, and she's going to basically like a lightsaber, and she's going to activate this and go in almost like it's not hand to hand because this thing doesn't have hands, but she's trying to really get in with greater dexterity than she would have with a ranged implement, and try to dig its eye out or slash its throat or find something she can do with this power blade.
Yeah, and I can't stop her. I'm already talking on the radio, so
She does have a hit. I'll roll damage. She's not able to penetrate its armor. And you can maybe hear, like, over the intercom, Daydream is just yelling at her and telling her, like, Rogue, no, don't do that. And she goes in anyways. And the alien is going to attack her now in melee with the with those big lobster like claws on the end of its tentacles.
I'm so getting the anti-tank missile next time.
It actually plunges its head down as it throws that tentacle, and she sidesteps and she's trying to cut through that tentacle and cut that claw off, but it's just too big. And it actually, as she's occupied with the tentacle, its head comes down and bites into her, or it would, but it's so big. You can see here a power armor trooper for scale, but it's so big that it actually scoops her up into its mouth and seems to swallow her. And Daydream runs forward in a rage, trying to save her friend, and she gets the lobster claw, that enormous pulpy tentacled thing, and it actually swats her in the back, comes around behind her, and swipes her almost like a bear. And knocks her down to the ground, and it starts to crawl forward, like it's going to crush her under its body as it is devouring Rogue in its mouth. And then I believe we're back to you, Jay.
Alrighty. Is its mouth open?
No, it's pretty much closed now that it's got Rogue in its mouth, and it's hard to tell, but it's either swallowed her or it's about to.
All right. I'm taking the shot at the eyes then.
Okay,
There's
another
not
cold
much.
shot.
Yep. Just hits.
All right, roll damage.
15.
15 does not penetrate the armor.
Hold on a second. I want to double check something.
Sure.
Yes. AP2, so I ignore 2 points of armor.
Okay, that still doesn't penetrate the armor, unfortunately.
Yeah, I got 9.
Jeez.
Yeah, I hit the 19 earlier, and I have AP6, and it didn't do anything.
Okay. I think we need to start sending in cars for it to try and eat and blowing them up.
Yeah.
What about Rogue? She could be alive in there.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. She's in. Can I do I see her vital signs on my
Yeah, she is
screens?
still alive. Yes, you can see her vitals, and she is still reading as alive.
Okay. I tell her, I actually scream at her, Rogue! Damage the inside! That's the only place it's not armored!
All right, you could hear her over the intercom just screaming in terror. You know, she was pulled up into these jaws, and the teeth crunching into her armor, and then she's in this black wetness of its gullet. And her suit, the environmental readings are going crazy. And actually, her cameras start to burn out. And you suspect that whatever acid this thing has in its gut is actually starting to eat through the suit, which is ridiculous. But
okay, I aim my gyrojet rifle, which is loaded with explosive now. A large blast radius. How big is that?
I believe it's about 10 yards or 10 meters across.
Okay, so if I shoot like the shoulder of the tentacle thingy, is it far enough from the head that I guess it would not hurt her if she's in?
You could aim it that way, yeah.
Okay, I'm doing a cold shot.
Because yeah, you could see like if the thing is so big that yes, you could attack the edge of the tentacle
Yeah,
without
exactly.
attacking
That's
the head.
where I'm shooting now. I'm aiming there. I'm doing a cold shot. Tiny. I'm trying to pinpoint that thing as much as I can.
All right.
Called shot on the arm, that's a limb, so that'd be a -2.
Well, what? How about we do like -4, and then you get plus. Well, that doesn't make sense because it says -4 is +4 damage.
Let me see.
But it says -6 is +4 damage as well, so that doesn't make much sense.
Oh, the tiny target. You
Oh,
ignore
the
armor.
tiny target ignores all the armor.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that
yes.
See, we've learned something important there.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I would recommend -4 and then +4 damage for you, Samuel.
I'm trying to hit straight the junction as much as possible. I'm telling you, I'm trying to do it the tiniest thing possible because I have a targeting system, so I ignore 4 points of penalty. So I'm trying to get it as much as possible.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could take the full
Yeah,
tiny
I'm
target
thinking
and
the full
-6
thing. I'm
plus
thinking
4, and it ignores armors. I should have noticed that previously.
I didn't even notice the tiny
Yeah.
target ignored armor. So
yeah, so I'm hitting with 1 raise with 8, so that's a success. And damage, that's 5d6. And it's gonna go boom. All right, 29 in your face.
Great.
Oh, sorry, +5, +4, that would be 33.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, good thing
Okay.
I took that weapon with a lot of options on it.
Yeah. So, Jay, when I'm looking at the stat block, if the creature has armor, it should say it at the very bottom somewhere, correct?
it should say it right next to its toughness.
Okay.
Creature's toughness is 2 plus half of its vigor,
Mhm.
and then its armor is added onto that.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I see. Okay, that's terrifying. Okay.
It's always fun to hear that.
And what was your damage again, Samuel?
33.
33. Okay.
And supposedly I in your armor.
Jesus Christ. Okay, it's still alive, but only just barely. So why don't you describe how you inflict the a massive amount of damage to this thing, but it is still alive. So you can describe blowing its arm off, its tentacle off, exposing its
I kneel
guts and its
down
ribs.
to take my shot, taking a lot of time to aim as straight as I can, and I shoot. You can see the gyroscopic rocket just shoot out, hit it straight in the shoulder, almost ripping it off the entire arm of the creature. It falls a little bit to the side, kind of roll a little bit because it took a lot of damage. And if it makes sounds, it's like, but it's not dead.
It is not happy. So yeah, it's basically
And can I move now? I would like to get out of the way.
Well, you're quite a distance from it, but yeah, moving up to your pace is a free action. So
Okay,
yeah, you can
I
move.
move behind the building as much as I can.
All right, and so it is busted up real bad. I'm gonna make a spirit test to see if it sticks around for more punishment or if it's trying to waddle away with Rogue.
We're not
How
letting
many-
it.
How many wounds did that do?
2.
2 wounds. Oof.
Yeah, so he's got one left, but barely.
Okay, so that would be
He is
he's
shaken, but I believe you can move while you're shaken. Is that incorrect?
Shaken is like you're stunned, so you can't really do anything until you make a spirit roll to unshake, or you use a Benny to soak it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can share my bennies, by the way. So if I can do something to save Rogue, I'm gonna do it.
Oh,
nice. Go ahead, Jay.
No, I was just comment. Did you take common bond, or is it through command?
Natural leader.
Always a lovely combo there.
Yeah, I am the leader, so I have a command, natural leader, and inspire. That's my edges. Nothing for combat, everything to lead people.
Yeah, I'm just double checking the shaking condition. I'm sure that you're right, Jay. I just want to double check it.
I will. Let me see. S 37, 77, 87. Start with 87.
No, he can still perform free actions, which includes moving, even when he's shaken. That's on my book is page 68. I know it won't be 68 on your book probably, but yeah, he can't take any like real actions, but he can take free actions even when he's shaken. And he did fail his the morale test I gave him, so he is going to take that free action. And with surprising speed, the creature is going to use his legs and pull its bulk around and start to retreat into the forest, into the jungle. A rogue is going to try to cut her way out, though. So let's see how she does with that.
Where it is.
So Rogue actually does manage to cut her way out. So maybe she saw some light coming in through that shoulder joint or through the throat, like a bright spot, and she took her power blade and just started digging in that direction, and managed to come out through that shoulder wound and just falls onto the ground, covered in gore and ooze, and
So,
it's just crawling away.
I don't know if my edges would do anything to make her do that, but can she think about leaving a grenade behind?
Well, that's a good idea. Yeah, does Lucifer order her to do that?
Well, the last round, I told her to do as much damage as she could.
Yeah, so maybe you can see on your monitor, you have her video feed. You can see her crawling out. It's getting lighter. She sees daylight. She's looking down the side of the thing, and maybe you just tell her.
Grenade!
Yeah, so she'll pull that grenade, drop it in the goop, and then just fall off the edge of the thing onto the ground. So let's roll for that grenade here. What did we say the impact grenades were?
It's 3d6. It's a
3d6.
fragmentation grenade.
Well,
Unless
what's
she
the
has
big
thermal,
grenade?
but I'm not
Thermal.
sure she has thermal.
I think you guys should have thermal grenades.
I got
Really.
I got 2 on me, but I don't know about her. I mean, frag and frag, smoke, and thermal, but
I didn't take any grenades because I didn't take the thrown skill.
Oh. Well, you could take a grenade launcher, even if you don't have throwing skill. But you have to think about that between sessions.
Yep.
Her grenade, unfortunately, it does a lot of superficial damage, but it explodes. Gore goes everywhere. The creature screams again, this horrible trilling wail, but it just keeps lumbering through the forest. Silence is probably thinking, okay, it's dealt with. He's worried about the girls. He's going to run up to check on a Daydream. And he's usually a pretty tough guy, a badass. He doesn't really usually care if people are okay or not. So you're almost wondering if he's spooked by this thing and he just doesn't want to follow it. And any excuse to stay away from it, he's going to take that. So he's going to check on Daydream, probably just because he's scared to press after this thing. But I believe we're through to you, Jay.
Hopefully this works this time. Called shot to the eye.
All right. So you're just because it's turned around, you're going to need to use a move action to get up to where you can hit its eye, or maybe even fire into that wound. I don't know, but the eye is more guaranteed bad.
No, I'll go with the wound.
Okay, but either okay, if it's the wound, you don't need to move.
Yeah, because if I move, then I lose my +2 from marksman.
Yeah.
And that just hits.
All right, so roll damage, and this time we know that this damage is going to ignore the armor.
Yep. 3d6. 11.
11's not quite going to do it. No.
Alrighty.
Yeah, because Samuel, the way the damage works, you roll your dice. We compare that to its toughness.
Yeah.
And if you beat it, that it's shaken. If you beat it by 4 or more, it's wounded. And then if you for every 4, it gets another wound.
Okay.
Wild cards like yourselves can take 3 wounds before you perish, and this thing, same deal. Now, usually, if you're shaken and you get shaken again, it's a wound. But I'll just tell you guys straight up that this creature that does not apply. It has hardy, so it is not wounded by a second shaken result. Unfortunately, most creatures would be, including yourselves, unless you've taken hardy.
Okay.
But he's not. So
And you have been giving it the -2 wound penalty?
Well, it hasn't even done anything except move since then.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, if he ever gets a chance to do anything, sure. Because yeah, for every wound that you take, you get -1 on everything. So 2 wounds is -2 on pretty much everything.
And you can also take up to, what was it? 2 levels of fatigue. I believe it is.
Yeah, fatigue is like wounds, but it's like non-lethal wounds, basically.
Yeah, it's like if you
we'll worry about that another time.
Yeah, exhaustion, poison, disease, stuff like that.
Yeah. But yeah, Samuel, we're back to you. So
All
it
right.
is fleeing.
I'm moving to the side of the building, to the other side, so I can get a different angle on it. And I open fire with the autocannon. I'm gonna try a called shot as much as possible to ignore its armor as much as possible. So I'm gonna take the -6 3 times. So that's a 7. Oh yeah, I got. Okay, yeah. No, that's a 9. That's a 7, and that's a miss. So
2 hits.
2 hits
place.
with the plus. Come on. Takes forever. Okay, there we go. Oh, nice. So that's a 22 and a 17.
All right. So the 22 is enough to inflict that 3rd wound and finish him off. The 17 doesn't quite, but he would have, shaken him again, but that doesn't matter for something this hardy. So anyway, describe how you sort out, Big Daddy Worm here, the scorpion lobster behemoth whatever this thing is.
Yeah, so I move to the side of the building, kneel down to be able to take my shot clearly, and I just unload the whole round like dong dong dong, and I try to aim at the little legs it has. It has a junction somewhere there close to the body, so I shoot there. I miss one with just ricochet off the top of it, and the two other, like the second one hits but doesn't penetrate, but the third one just gets to the same point as the second one and just goes through and pierce its body. Probably the bullets just go in and makes all the damage necessary to kill it.
All right. So yeah, there's an entry wound. There's no exit wound because its
It's so
carapace
huge.
is so big. But if there were an exit wound, it would be a nasty one because you splattered its guts all over the inside of its carapace, and it just staggers. It's got 6 legs left, I think, and it just falls over. And man, it's a good thing you guys are in your suit because the stank coming off this thing must be unbelievable. And Rogue staggers to her feet and starts stumbling back towards you guys, and she's looking over her shoulder at this twitching mountain of flesh and scales. But
All right, that's a big hunting trophy.
And they're pretty much like, Rogue's almost in shock. And as Daydream is getting kind of coming to her senses, she, at the best of times, rambles. But now she's just like, what is this thing? Where did it come from? How could it do that? Oh my God, Rogue, are you okay? And she goes and like hugs Rogue. And she saw Rogue get swallowed by that thing. And Rogue cut her way out through the shoulder. And Rogue is just in shock, and Daydream is just rambling. Silence is just glaring and staring. It's like he's also pretty shell-shocked.
Yeah, I'm on the radio with I'm trying to get through command, and like this situation is very bad. I mean, we need as much troop and firepower as possible, like right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost like impolite with the officers on the other end, like now, fuck now.
Yeah.
We need backup now.
And I think that's a pretty good place to close out session 1. We've had our first alien encounter. Did you guys have any kind of epilogue on session 1? Session 2 will be a new mission.
If we close the mission here, and the next one would be a different mission, not just following this one right up. I would say that I have a big debrief with command, and I'm making sure that everybody's is okay in the unit, and I'm asking everyone to check their weapon and see what they can do to make sure that we have more punch for next time.
All right. What about you, Jay? Any epilogue on this mission? We'll probably do some of the debrief next session if you guys want to.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, definitely looking into something better. Might see about getting that Gatling razor that I've been looking at.
Yeah. A grenade launcher would be good too. With thermal grenades, a shitload of them.
Oh yes, yes.
All right,
I
and
make
we'll
that
probably
my
save.
secondary.
We'll probably save some of that debrief for the start of next session, because as we know, Brandon could not make it today.
Yep.
And we'll give him some exposition that way.
Yeah, and that would be actually interesting if you were able to make it to the next session, because due to the kind of encounter we just had, having a second sapper would be a good idea. So they would have
Could
just
be.
send us a second sapper to say like, you need more firepower. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm giving you the guy with a big cannon on his shoulder.
And yeah, we've learned more now about the rule set, especially that called shot rule. It ignores armor when you take that -6. Very, very important. Because then
Yes.
you probably would have done it a wound or two, Jay, if we had known about that.
Yeah.
I would try to look into getting the targeting system, Jay, if you could, on your armor.
Definitely.
Rem-
Now,
Removing maybe one pace and putting the targeting system would be a good compromise, maybe.
I think I just might do that. I do have a question.
Yep.
As far as advancing, are you doing the standard +2 experience per mission, or are you doing like some who meet rarely, 1 advancement per mission?
I was thinking 1 advance, which I think is 5 XP.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I was thinking 1 advance, which means you can get either a new edge or a new skill die, or a new skill die above your attribute, or a new attribute die, or 2 skill die that are below your attribute.
Okay, I'm gonna have a question about how the mechanics work, because
Mhm.
I was under the impression that the stats were more important than the skills, and I can see that it's not the case.
No, it's
So,
the opposite.
No. Skills are more important than attributes. However, attributes affect how you can get skills.
yeah,
How
yeah,
you buy
I saw
them,
that,
yeah.
but I was under the impression, and probably I just misunderstood something at some point, that when we're rolling the dice, it would have been that was in my mind, but I was thinking about rolling the stats and the skill together. So I was thinking
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm gonna balance my things like skills and stats, so it would be good, because I would have made my character differently if I had
Yeah.
knew how it worked. But it's fine. I'm gonna
Yeah,
take
if you
some
guys
skill
want to
points.
if you guys want to rebuild, that's fine by me. Jay, if you want to take some throwing so you can get some grenades, or yeah, Samuel, if you want to shuffle around your attributes and your
Yeah,
skill,
I
that's
might do
fine
that
by
a
me.
little bit.
I definitely know that I'm replacing taunt. I
Yeah,
I don't really have a use for it, so
even in the best
taunt
of-
is being replaced with throwing.
yeah, even in a regular shooting campaign, I don't think taunt's super useful. But especially this campaign, I really don't. I guess you could try to like taunt the aliens and like lure them out and get some aggro on them, but
Okay.
so I guess it could be useful. But yeah, if you guys want to rebuild, I'm cool with that.
Okay.
I'm just gonna shuffle it a little bit. I'm not gonna change the kind of character or the
Yeah.
edges or stuff like that, but just maybe the skills, just some
Mhm.
minor adjustment to make it more suitable to the rules. Okay, that was fun.
If it's all right with you, David, I'm gonna do little customization on the armor, just
Oh yeah.
because how you wrote it up is a little confusing to me. So I'm gonna try and customize it to try and match what you have here in a way that I can understand it.
It's
Yeah, don't
I
worry
can
about.
hook you up with the sci-fi companion too if you don't have it, because the rules are very easy actually.
It's very easy. I custom made mine, and it's like
Yeah.
easy,
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, I've got the companion. It's just how you have it written up is different from how I normally write it up.
Oh yeah, yeah, no worries. Yeah, please customize your armor, and there will be time between the missions in universe to do that. So yeah, that's cool.
Alrighty.
Okay, well, thanks, guys. I had a lot of fun. I'm not great with rules, and I always switch rule sets so often that I forget half of them anyway. But now we've got the called shot down a lot better, which will be very important, I'm sure. and just the basic, skill test combat stuff.
Yeah. It's it was great.
Okay, and
It's
now,
a short
next
course.
session we'll learn more about the meteor and the origin of these aliens, and we'll have some more missions lined up as we explore this phenomena.
Yep.
Alrighty.
So are you
All right.
thinking the next session will be next week or different day?
Unfortunately, I have a wedding to go to next week, so I cannot
No
attend,
problem.
but probably the week after.
Excellent.
Alrighty.
Okay, you guys have a good night.
You
And
too?
I'm going to go to work, so I
As well.
can't have a great night, but I'll have a good night.
Hey, I got to pull a midnight to 6 after pulling a noon to 6.
Yeah, I'm not that bad. At least I'm midnight till 8, but at least I had all day to sleep.
Yeah. I'm a stay-at-home dad, so
We're all very jealous, Samuel.
oh, don't be. You don't know why yet.
Oh,
You're gonna
okay.
learn that in a few months because I can't talk about it. No, I'm serious. I'm serious. It's under oath of secrecy. I cannot talk about it. But eventually, you're gonna see that pop up on my Facebook page around April, May.
Okay.
It's not fun. Honestly, it's
Oh,
a very bad situation that put me in the situation I'm here now.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, shit happens, like we say.
It does. Well, you'll get through it, Samuel. You're a tough guy.
I hope so.
All right. Have a good night now, gentlemen. I'm going to sign off.
You too.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.